Hello, good morning. How are you all doing today? Uh, Happy Tuesday. So, same general setup from yesterday, still on the notebook, don't have an external keyboard, still using the, haven't found a cable yet, and moved a bunch of stuff around, but I did change some settings in OBS, so uh, that's that's gonna be it. The starting to screen is very bland. I think you'll need to fill it with a picture of potato. Yeah, I probably do. I probably do. Also, hello, Asitsu. Yeah, it's been something on my mind to like maybe have a new starting soon screen, something going on with that because right now it is just a starting soon screen because I don't actually know if I have my logos on this computer here. So there's that too. I should probably put in like a project list of like, okay, let's create a new starting soon screen. Let's just create new screens in general for OBS. That might be nice. Okay, so um right now it's every once in a while it is dropping down. I didn't add a delay to OBS and I kept the 10,000, but I changed some other things. So hopefully things should be pretty good. I've seen it drop down a little bit to low bit rates. Like right now I'm getting 182, which is extremely low. Wait, am I? Or did it just freeze? Nope. Okay. It did not freeze. But then it's back up to, 1200, 2500, something like that. So I think it's mostly just working on delaying the stream for all of you, which is perfectly fine as long as the quality remains relatively okay. The quality does keep dropping, but the text is still somewhat legible. Okay, so that's all we really need to know. So I am fairly convinced that the problem isn't the internet right now, but the problem is the fact that I'm at the edge of Wi-Fi because I'm over here. So the way that this place is set up is the Wi-Fi router is in another like building over like behind me by a bit. So unfortunately, I do not have an extender yet for that, and they don't have any cables, and I can't stream over there in that building. So I'm over here. I'm physically between my computer and the router. So yeah, it's there's some things that could be better about this situation. I do have a room that I can turn into an office, but right now it's just full of stuff. So after like between the streams, I've been working on like basically turning this place into like more of a home that I can actually live in. And so that room is gonna be the last one for me to set up. But once we get it up there, I'll be closer to the router. I can get an extender, and then I can Ethernet into the extender. So once we have all that, everything should hopefully be significantly better, at least more consistent, because like the internet in general has been shockingly good. It's got decent speed, decent like the latency is like, every once in a while it drops a little bit low, but generally it's okay, which obviously is a good thing. So, yeah, much better than everything turning into huge blocks. Yes. So, how are you doing today? Did the stream just drop? It dropped on YouTube. Oh, the stream just ended. Okay, that was weird. Oh yeah, it dropped to 0 kilobits per second. That's what happened, and then it comes back, and then we're back to 2900. Ooh, that's really cool. Okay, so I think we're back. Maybe. Let me try. Let's see. There's a setting that I can try that I wasn't sure about. If I create a, it's gonna be pretty bad delay, but I might. Oh yeah, I do. Didn't I? I turned off ads, didn't I? Which means that now you get pre-roll ads, which is a little bit unfortunate. Okay, so I just turned on a huge delay for the stream through OBS, so maybe that will even things out. I'm gonna keep my eye on the bitrate that I see on Restream. You prefer pre-roll ads? Okay. It's weird because like I've heard from like different opinions from different people. Obviously, streamers generally have always said they prefer no pre-roll ads, uh, but I never really like hear that much from viewers. Unfortunately, I don't know if I get enough of you all coming in to do a an accurate poll, because then I might be able to find more. Okay, so my bitrate is decently high. It's okay, like 14,000. I guess I do have to say that, right? Because if it drops down to actually 14, that is funny, but also very different. Okay, so I switched us to one a 1 minute delay. On OBS's side, I did not bind to IP on I did well, bind to IP is default. You'd imagine it puts off people discovering new stream, but with mid-roll, everyone surely hates when something important gets interrupted. Yeah, and that's like a huge thing. Is I do like YouTube's ability to manually insert a mid-roll whenever I want, which I never do, which is probably the reason why Twitch never does that. But if I guess like with programming, it's tough because there aren't very many times where it's like, hey, I'm gonna take a break every whatever. If I could do a less time break, like not like a full minute every hour. If I could do something like 20 seconds every hour, and then not have pre rolls, I would do that absolutely. But like it does seem to be a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, which isn't great. I wonder. I would hope that they change that, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm imagining that it's going to be pretty. It's going to get worse instead of better, most likely. Okay. Hopefully this won't delay anymore. I'm hoping that the artificial delay that I've inserted will sort of act as a buffer. The other thing that I can do is I could update the buffer also. Where is that buffer? Where was that? That was not in general. Stream output. Oh, I switched to a different audio. I switched to a different video encoder, and it looks like I don't even have a buffer at all anymore. Okay, that might be what that is. Yeah, having that buffer on yesterday actually did quite a bit. So maybe maybe the delay is sort of going to act like a buffer. We'll see. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say Twitch sometimes breaks streams with pre-roll on purpose so you refresh and get to sit through another ad. Do they make that much money per per ad to make that like a viable strategy? I would imagine that it depends upon how much people like make per how much they make per view of the ad. I don't know. That'd be interesting. And is it click or is it watch? Because if it's just watch, yeah, I guess that could do it. I do see that a lot on on my tablet. Like I'll see a lot of like just sort of like, oh, we're gonna play a new ad now. Yeah, if you do it enough to enough people, yeah, that's probably true. It could be like the equivalent of Chaos Monkey, the old Chaos Monkey, if any of you remember that from Netflix. Okay, before I read and review the article, I want to check to see if we can run transactions manually. And by running transactions manually, what I mean is that in Diesel, we can uh, start a transaction. They have a transaction manager. Okay. Wait, nested transactions? Is that even possible? Is that a thing? Okay, so associate type transaction manager. Okay, but this top one up here, we have just transactions. Let's go take a look at that. Oh, so we have transaction, and this takes a callback function. Executes the given function inside of a database transaction. Got it. Okay, so I believe. Let's try this inside of code. What should I do? Is there anything that I do where there's like a bunch of them? Like, okay, so we already updated run seeds, show pets, create pet, delete pet, show species. I don't think any of these do like multiple things at the same time, do they? Let's do. I guess I could just do create pet inside of a transaction. So pet queries. So there's batch create pets, and then we can have pub function transaction create pet. We'll have our DB, and I think the only thing name and species ID. That's fine. Name, species ID. Result, so I32, I guess, for the ID. Now, I am curious. I bet I'm not going to be able to get the thing out, can I? Ooh, wait. This doesn't say that the callback, the results is R, but then F doesn't return R. Ooh, that would be nice. But we don't know what R is. Maybe the return of the result is the return of this. We'll see. So what is this? This is under transaction, which is under connection. Okay, so I could do db executes the given function inside of a database transaction. This function executes the provided closure f inside a database transaction. If there is already an open transaction for the current connection, save points will be used instead. The connection is committed if the closure returns OK. It will be rolled back if it returns error. For both cases, the original result value will be returned from this function. The original result value will be returned from this function. Perfect. Okay, so that's what we want. There's also a builder for this, but I don't think we need to do that. So transaction. So you take in a closure, right? And I don't think you. Oh, okay. So we have our connection. So we'll just call this a connection and nothing else. So that's what it is. Okay. All right. And then we're going to context. HM Fakir, hello. How are you doing today? So then this would be error running, or I guess it's not an error. This is just the context, right? So um, creating pet in manual transaction. And then, okay, so we're returning that. So then inside of here, we do the thing, right? So I want to create the new pet. So let's, who is it? Mute. Suyash, hello. How are you? You're doing nice. Excellent. Well, that's good to hear. Also, I am doing pretty good. We're over here. We're in the new place. We've got sun. It's not freezing cold, which is always nice. Zilby's in the other room napping on the bed, and things are good. Although I am a bit far away from the Ethernet, or not Ethernet, the Wi-Fi, which we do have to be on Wi-Fi for it, and we're on Starlink. But after a little bit of roughness getting started, I made a change, and now things seem to be settling in. It's also interesting. I wonder if Starlink sort of sees that I'm like constantly sending something up, and like at the very beginning it fails because it did the same thing yesterday. But then it recovers and it's like, okay, well, since this seems to be your profile, we're just going to go ahead and let you do this thing. And then it lets me stream with like there's no drop since then. So and our bitrate seems to be better than yesterday, which is nice. Although yesterday it was raining all day and today it's sunny, so maybe that has something to do with it too. Okay, you're the same Suyash, you just changed your username. Nice. Okay. Well, awesome to have you hanging out with us today. Again, welcome back. Um, okay, so let our the pet to create, right? So we want our pet equals it's a create pet. Do I have like a new? I don't have a new. So we just do name is name to owned species ID is that. That's fine, right? So then we do pet dot insert into, and this will be pet. I guess we have access to that. We want returning pets ID get result, so singular result. It's the connection. And then I suppose, now is this actually the same type of thing? Because like maybe I could just do a context here and it'll be fine, right? So if we do a context here and we just do inserting pet, well, there's no error. So it seems to be perfectly fine with this. You know, I have one of my contacts who is going to take the data center at space with SpaceX. Nice. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, transaction create pet. That seems to work. So we could do multiple transactions in here at the same time. Once the central will be down, it will take days to manage. I would imagine that. Like anytime there's any outage or downage or whatever of these type of this level of stuff, yeah, I could definitely see it will take days to manage. We should test this. So this is create a pet. So bin create pet. And the only real thing to change, so we get that. So create pet, instead of this create pet, we're going to do transaction. What did I call it? Oh yeah, transaction create pet. That's what I called it. Transaction create pet. That's it. Everything else should remain exactly the same and nothing should change about it. So we remove you. You're going to be happy. So we come to here. Let's full screen you. And we will say, uh-oh. All right, hold on. I'm not on, I'm on restream, so I need to go over to my mod. I have to do this thing on my phone right now. Not quick actions. It's not an auto mod thing. What? Oh, when I go to chat, it doesn't show me that chat. Oh no. Okay, I think I have to go on the desktop. Wait, it disappeared. Did one of you? Wait, no, it didn't disappear. So yes, you just said something and it went up one. Okay, hold on. So yeah, so you started streaming? Um, how is that going? Let's see. Do I need to go to dashboard? Okay, now I can ban you. Got it. Okay, and let me hold on. I need to turn off my camera for a second. Okay, hold on for 1 second. I have to take a really quick break. Someone needs to come in and grab a cable, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. They're gone. We are alone again. Okay, so do I need to switch back to the Restream tab? Yeah, so Suyash, what are you streaming about? Is it dev in some way? Or are you doing gaming? A lot of people end up doing just gaming on Twitch, don't they? Don't they? We hang out in a weird not gaming section. Okay, so full screen. Oh, right, we're gonna run this. So this is just in the create pet. So we do a cargo run bin create pet. What is the name of the pet you want to create? Test. Let's see. What's another pet name? Oh, I used to have a dog a long time ago named Anna. This would be a dog. 45. Okay. Pet Anna has been created. So this will work. Okay, but I think that this should be another full lesson like this. So we should do um, using transactions. Then I can get rid of you. Hi, Zilby. Want to hang out? Come on, no, don't walk away from me. Okay. Zilby wants to go the other direction than me. That's fine. He's a cat. Okay, so in that case, let's go ahead and finish up bulk inserts with Diesel. We'll read and review this article. All right. Bulk inserts with Diesel. Objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe what batch inserts are, describe why we might want to batch insert many items into the database in one transaction. So let's just change this because we're going to do transactions separately, so at the same time. So far, we've focused on single actions with the database, as in, we're inserting one item, updating one item, and deleting one item at a time. This is perfectly fine most of the time, especially if we aren't affecting too many rows in the database at once. However, we might run into an issue when we have many items that we want to mutate in the database at once. Let's take our seeds, for example. We're inserting 3 species and 4 pets. This isn't too much, so it seems to run really fast. However, imagine if we wanted to insert hundreds of species and or pets. This could slow down our program significantly since we are in a sync loop while running this code. Enter batching. We send a vector of our species and Diesel will use a single command to insert all of the items. This will decrease the speed of our commands, especially when we are batching a lot at a time. That's backwards, isn't it? This will increase the speed. Increase the speed means it goes faster. My brain was like yesterday, I think, on like, okay, lower number is better for speed, so I want to decrease it. But I think that when you say in English, increase the speed, it means it goes faster, which means it's lower time. Gotta love that. Also, Zilby is hanging out. Oh, I have to. Hanging out next to me. I don't have a cat cam, unfortunately. Happy Yashar, hello. How are you doing today? There's another benefit, which is that the batched insert will be in a single transaction. Transactions are a single unit of work, as in all of the inserts will be done uh, well, let's see. I don't know if we even need this at all. So I think it's just okay, now we just go and do it, right? Because like this will just increase the speed of our commands. It'll do all the things at the same time. Okay. Let's create a new function in the species queries RS file for batch inserting species. The big difference in the signature for this function is that we're taking in a slice of create species. We're also returning the full species struct instead of just the IDs. This is because batch inserts return nothing or everything. We'll start the insert using the insert into function, pass in the table values, and use the get results method to request all of the species back after the insert. Now we can turn our attention to the run seeds bin file. We want to update the map to return a create species instance instead of just inserting the species. Now we have the species that we want to create, we can do the batch insert. Remember though that the created species is now the full species struct. We'll need to update the pets inserts. We'll need to update, I think it's just the pet inserts, to get the ID from the created species. Uzair, hello. How are you doing today? What is the prerequisites for this project? I would say if you wanted to take this course when it's done, the prerequisites would be I'm not teaching you Rust, so knowing at least enough Rust to sort of like get something going. So like basically reading through at least several chapters of the Rust book would be the equivalent of Rust experience that you need. Then being able to create a database on your own system or create a cloud database and connect to it. So generally speaking, that would be like having Docker experience would be a good thing. So you can like spin up a Docker, like, a basic Docker image, which I think we go over like how to do in this course. So it's like, it's a very bare basic minimum required for like, Docker experience. Like, yeah, you have it on your system or willing to install it. Otherwise, just install like a cloud database. Everything in here is we're using Postgres as the example, but it's not really necessary. You can use MySQL, you can use SQLite. All those things are perfectly fine. Diesel supports them. So yeah, that'd be the prerequisites. Like basic programming experience, a little bit of Rust experience, and a database, like the ability to install a database. Does that answer your questions? Devi, hello. How are you doing today? Also, for everybody stopping by, sorry about everything, but we have a very long delay on the stream, but that's because we're on Starlink internet. So to keep the stream quality a little bit higher, I have the delay high, which should hopefully uh, keep like the buffer going well. I think that that's how this is working, but I don't know. It that may not actually be affecting anything at all. I'm not sure. As soon as I set the delay, everything started working better. So maybe maybe it was just a red herring, but I'm sort of keeping that on. Excellent. You're doing fine. That's good to hear. All right, so I'm going to keep on reading through this. All right, thank you so much for the answer. You appreciate it. Excellent. Well, glad to help out. Let's see. Remember though that the created species is now the full species struct. We'll need to update the pet inserts to get the ID from the created species. And that's it. We should now be able to run the seeds and the species will be will be batch inserted into the database. Challenge. Add a batch create function for pets and create the pets part of the run seeds file. Okay, so this is done there. We can mark you as done and you're done. Okay, so this is finished. Bulk inserts. And next is going to be using transactions. So let's go ahead and now I don't have a transactions here, right? So we have the new, this would be diesel transactions.md. Now in this one, I don't think I'm gonna have, I think, should we have you update? I probably should have you update it. Okay, we'll just do that. When will we get a Rust Solana tutorial? Probably not from me. I'm not really all that into crypto myself, so I don't I don't feel like I know enough about crypto to do it justice. And like anything to do with money, I like feel that I would really want to make sure I know exactly like I would want to know more than what I know right now with it. Because like yeah, I probably could do like a tutorial like, oh, how to do like this one thing, but like is it good? Will it like cause people to lose money? I don't know. I don't know enough about Solana or crypto in general to like know to be confident in that arena. So that's the reason why I probably won't do a tutorial unless for some reason like we find some like really fun thing to do with it. But then it probably wouldn't be a tutorial, it'd probably be like a challenge. Like if I could make like something interesting that the community wouldn't lose money on. Because that's the other thing is like I keep on seeing things about like people creating is it tokens with Solana? I don't really know how Solana works at all. Uh Tokens is with Ethereum, right? Uh this shows my knowledge of this of all of this. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I don't want to like accidentally create something that like, you know, ends up being a scam or something. I don't want to do that. So I'm staying away from crypto at least for the moment. Okay, so he'll be sunning himself next to the window. Let's see. Transactions. So what is this? This diesel transactions objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to uh, describe what transactions are, um, and then create a transaction in Diesel, and that's pretty much it. That's all there really is to this. How to learn Rust? What's the best approach to learn what we do first and step by step? Uh, I guess like the first sort of like question HM Fakir would be, what's your current level with programming? Like where would you feel you are with that? Like do you feel that you're a that you have like a pretty solid grasp on programming, like just programming in general? It doesn't mean like, oh, you're like, you know, a master at like, you know, any one language. It doesn't matter actually what language at all. It's just like you understand programming, you know what like a for loop is, you know, like if statements, like none of those are throwing you for a loop. And you're able to you're able to create something like simple. I would say that's the bare minimum in order to read the Rust book. And do we have the Rust book? Do I have the book? I might have the book in here. So if I do, no, no. Okay, I do not have the book in there. Fine. Also, that's interesting. I see Happy Yashar. You said hi, everybody, and it didn't show up in my chat over here. Well, that's. Oh, you did, Sarah. Okay, I did see that. Oh, all of you have been in YouTube. Okay, that makes more sense. So that bang book command did not work and do anything. So I need to go find Rustlang. So if you go to Rustlang, you go to learn. They actually literally say, I've actually nicknamed the book. This is whenever you hear like a Rust person say, okay, well today has been a little bit less good than yesterday, and I have no idea if that's because of the setting changes that I did or because the internet is worse. It's a bit rough. I might wonder I might do a test stream. Let's see. Tomorrow I can't do a stream because my wife has a bunch of meetings in the early morning. So maybe I'll work on getting the other room cleared. Possibly. I'm not sure. But I plan on streaming again on Thursday, just sort of like more testing type stuff. And so I might try to streaming from the other room, which is closer to the Wi-Fi, and we'll see if that's better. Hopefully it is. Uh, Mitron, hello. How are you doing today? What's a diesel? Diesel is a ORM, object relational mapper. So it's a database tool for connecting your program to a like a SQL database like Postgres, MySQL, Maria, DB, SQLite, something like that. And it basically allows you to write Rust code instead of SQL code to connect and do all the things. So that's all that is there. Okay. We are relatively back and running again. A little bit fuzzy, but readable. Although I'm now dropping down to like 300 or so kilobits per second. So I think not having the buffer is significantly worse for the stream. So I kind of want to go to the buffer route again, but I don't think I can do that without a full shutdown. So let's try this again. Daxis is an absolute way for cross-platform development. I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Daxis, and it's on my list to check out. I don't know why the stream is recommended to me. I think I woke up and someone smart was using YM computer, your computer. Uh, anyways, Mitron, what do you do normally? Do you do programming? Do you do something else? YouTube has a weird recommendation system. I know I can't really predict why they recommend some things every once in a while. Like my only thought process is that sometimes YouTube decides to just recommend stuff to random people just to see if you can get a bigger audience with something. But I don't I don't know. It seems to be like inconsistent with its recommendations because sometimes also it stops recommending me the people that I actually want to follow. And it's like, well, but I want to see their stuff. Why did you stop recommending their new things? I don't know. Their recommendation system is usually good, but sometimes questionable. You're a sports physiotherapist. Okay, so physio. So like that's more of like recovering from injuries and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we in programming don't have too many of those. Although I suppose you can get what is it called? You get arthritis, you get some there's something like that in the wrists. That happens a lot. And also we have a high risk of accidentally losing the curve in our neck due to like hunching over and doing that. That's that that's a significant problem that we can run into. How many years of experience do I have with Rust? How many years of experience do I have? Well, I took a couple years break, but I think we started in 2018. So let's just say like I did a 2 year break. So let's just say 4 years. Programmer's elbow. Yeah, programmer's elbow. There we go. And I actually have seen people wear like some of those compression wristbands to help with that. So it's probably not that far off. You're actually building a therapist patient scheduling app. Oh yeah, those are pretty popular. I've seen several of those be do very well. Like there's a lot, and all of the like the commercially available like the big ones, I've never seen any good ones. So like I do like the idea of people starting to create better scheduling applications and maybe like more specific ones to a well a caregiver, a doctor, whatever, like a specialist, and then the patient. You wish that you could do that in Rust. You're using Kotlin, Spring Boot, and React. I mean, as I tell a lot of people who come in here, Rust is great, but in the end, delivery like the delivery of value is the only thing that actually matters in the end. And uh, as well as Mitron can probably state, they don't care what language we use. They care that it actually works, right? They care that. So like if you do it in JavaScript, if you do it in Python, if you do it in Rust, nobody cares as long as the end result provides value for the owner of the app and then the consumer of the app. That's all. Mike, yours is pretty small just for your wife's use case. Inpatient rehab. Nice. I kind of am starting to like more like of the boutique, like, okay, like just like make it specialized use case for each user because then it's going to be, or I guess each domain, because then it's going to be like it's going to be better. Like if you try to use the generic things, it you just get generic. Like it's not gonna like it's gonna be like 90% there, but then just that little bit, that little last bit is frustrating. I hate that. Okay, diesel transactions. So what are transactions? In the previous, or I guess I don't know if we want to do like in the previous. So like okay, so let's just say like every time we run a diesel command, like inserting a pet into the database, we are technically running a transaction. However, the transaction is only for that one command. If we a transaction okay, so we looked at this yesterday and I already forget what it said the transaction specifically was. It I don't want to use the word batch. The transaction is something. It is like a group. Did they use the word batch? I think like Wikipedia used the word batch, which I don't like. Uh, a transaction is a collection of commands to the database, which which will either all complete successfully or be rolled back on failure. Um, this means, okay, so this means that um, if any of the commands in a single transaction fails, then nothing would happen. Nothing. Then the database would be um, unaffected. This can be very good if we have a lot of, okay, so this can be very good if we have a lot of commands that we need to run, but want to be sure that they all run successfully in case of a failure. A side effect of transactions is that they do is that commands inside a single transaction are a bit faster. Memorize syntax is important in some kind of Rust syntax X. How to read this? Okay, so hold on. Where did you get that, Fakir? So when I'm seeing, do do I have the playground? I don't have the playground on here. Playground to do with this. Okay, so when I have function main, okay, so when I see something like let's just say x equals, just to make sure that this is happy, um, like x, let's do x as f 64. So when I see this, you can't do, I try to use Vim motions. I can't do that. When I try to do this, this is what's known as a closure. And so a closure is the equivalent of a callback function in JavaScript. So in something like JavaScript, or okay, before I do that in JavaScript, what's the language that you're most familiar with? Is it JavaScript, Python, like what one of those? If I know it enough, I might be able to like give you like a direct comparison between the two different languages. And I have to wait because there's a pretty significant delay because we are on Starlink here. So we get a fairly large delay on our that. Okay, TypeScript of JavaScript, C#. So let's just do JS because TypeScript is a superset of JS anyways, and so there's not really going to be that big of a difference, right? So right here, this if I wanted to redo this line here, this would be the equivalent of const my closure equals and so fat arrow there for the function, and then we're just going to do number x like that. That's the equivalent of what we're going for here. So this closure is the equivalent of a callback function or just a function like an inline function. And so I've converted over here. So we have the x. This is the parameter coming in, or the argument, I guess, in this case, coming in. So that's x. And then the as f64, we're attempting to convert this x into an f64. And so I believe there is, everything is an F64 inside, or is it F64 or F32? I can't remember. But everything's a float in JavaScript. So I just convert it into a number. And so there we go. Now, here there's a problem, which is only actual numbers can be. So this probably won't work. I would have to say that this needs to be some kind of number of some way, type-wise. But I believe what we can do is I could say like a print line. Let's see. The string 12 is that, and I'm going to call my closure and pass it in the string 12. Let's see if, oh wait, no. It can't be string 12 because it's as x64. It doesn't cast it if a number, it converts it into an f64 from a different number. So this would be something like 12 as an integer. So this is usually like an I32 into an f64. That's what we want to do here. Now, so if I run this, let's see if it's okay with me doing this. It might require me to type like set this as a generic or something else. Standard error. Oh no, it worked. Standard output. So yeah, this indeed worked. So I run this and it converts the I32 12 into an F64. There's not really much, and it returns this also. So something that's really important is that if there's no like brackets around here, this is the return value. So it turns the x into an x64 and then returns that value. So it basically, I get x back out of this, which then comes into my print line and prints here. That's why I get the 12 like that. Does that make sense? It's so I can actually do like if there's any, is there any, I mean, I could just do something like that to like add in a 0, 1 because it is a float. And I believe this works as expected. I don't really know a good way of like showing like, hey, it's a float versus not a float that would like be more convincing. If I did this as if I just did X like this, it's going to yell at me because you can't do this. You can't add a float to an I32. So this has to be an F64 or some kind of F, like F32, F64, F128, F16. I think that's the smallest float, right? But yeah. Does that answer your question? let me go ahead and add this in JS. It's that. And then if I take you, let's throw you right there. Print line to go there. Now I can share a permalink to this. And that way, you can play around with that and just sort of like take a look at this. Now, I know this is a pretty simple one, but hopefully this should help out with at least like the beginning of this. Leet code. So just to let you know, Leet code and Rust are not best friends. They're Leet code can actually get really, really, really hard with Rust because you kind of need to know some of the more advanced features for some of the more data structures and algorithms type things. Specifically, the data structures. Data structures in Rust can actually be really hard. You get, if you use the libraries, or the crates as they're called, you get a lot of those data structures for free. You just be able to import them and use them. And you don't need to worry too much about like linked lists or like, trees or anything else. You just use them. But implementing them yourself generally goes into either unsafe Rust or some more advanced memory management side of Rust, which is definitely not beginner Rust. So if you get stuck on like leak code type things, don't worry too much about Rust type things. It might be good to sort of go into a different direction. Absolutely, glad to help out with that. It's part of what I do. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm back here. Okay, so let's continue on. A side effect of transactions is that commands inside a single transaction are a bit faster. Okay, side effect of transactions is that commands inside a single transaction are a bit faster, as the database doesn't need to commit changes to disk as often. Okay, so basically that's it. Let's I don't really have anything that does multiple transactions together, so I'm not really sure which one I want to do this for. I guess we'll do the one we have. So like let's uh while we don't have a great real life um real life example of using transactions in our pet store code base or code, we can still manually create one so you can see how they can be used. Let's add a, okay, so let's add a function in pet queries for creating a pet in a transaction. Okay, and then what I can do is I can just remove this. Delete you and just throw in like a to do here. Okay, so as we can see, the signature for a query, for this query, is exactly the same as the regular create pet function. We don't need anything else to run the transaction. In fact, we don't even need to start the transaction here in the queries file if we don't want. But in this case, we are to keep all the queries together. Okay, so to create a transaction, we are going to use the, is it begin transaction? Begin transaction. The begin transaction function available on the connection. This takes a callback function which will return the same, which will return whatever the, so actually callback, that's the wrong word, closure is the appropriate term in Rust, which will return whatever the closure returns. Okay, so now inside of here, we just take u. Okay, so I want to not worry about this stuff yet. I just want to show, okay, this is what we're doing. Connection, and then we'll have a, maybe like a to-do in here. Let's see. Okay. As the closure, okay, so the closure that we pass into the ooh. This isn't the right thing. We just want transaction. Because there is just a transaction method. This one, connection transaction. Okay. Okay, the closure that we pass into the transaction method will takes in a connection, which is the same connection that we the same connection that is the DB in our function. This we'll use this when running queries inside the transaction, inside the inside the transaction. Fakir, you're starting Rust with development side, not DSA side. What's DSI? I've heard that before, and I'm not the best with acronyms. So data science and algorithm side. That's what it's for, right? Yeah, okay. So in that case, yeah, it should be fair. It should be a little bit simpler for you to get started with Rust because you're not trying to start with that kind of stuff. And I personally I prefer staying on the the development side. That's why like almost all my courses are more like on the like uh the practicality side, if that makes any sense. Like this type of stuff, like diesel, like how to connect to a database, how to do that kind of stuff, because those are things you need for just general programming. It's kind of important. Okay, we'll use this when running queries inside the transaction. Something that I realized that we could do, and we'll do this in the next thing. So now we just run it, right? Instead of create pet like this and do the insert, why do that when we have a function right above here? I could just do a create pet. Create pet, we hand it the connection, we hand it the name, and we hand it the species ID because we already have that. And this returns mismatch types expected in enum, result I32 found result I32 string. I think I want to context this. Context, creating pet. What was the string in create pet? Like, why am I doing the tuple for that? Now I'm curious. In create pet, I'm returning that. Returning. Because I'm returning the ID and the name here as. Oh, because we updated you to return. Okay, I got it. I got it. Well, I already said that it's the exact same, so I might as well leave it the exact same. So this is an I32, and then string, I think. So then you're happy there. I don't think I need that at all. So DB transaction, create pet, connection name, species ID, that returns this result, which then we add another context on top of that, and then this goes in there. And then everything should be the same and works as expected, I believe. And let's run this. So what is the name of the pet you want to create? Geez, I need another pet name. I did spot already. What other pets I've had? I've had fish, but I don't know if I ever gave them names. Or at least I don't remember what they are. Um, I don't want to give these are pets, so you all don't aren't pets, so I can't use you. Let's just say like I don't know. Oh, how do you spell Appa from what's the show name? Avatar? Is it one P or two P's? Is it Appa or Appa? I don't. I'll do that. Um, sure. You are. I don't have the right species for it. Sure. You're a dog. That's probably gonna piss off a lot of fans, but whatever. We'll do this. 2? Okay, well, whatever. It's okay, fine. I'll do another one. Appa. Um, dog is probably the closest. Thank you for that, Sitsu and Fong. Do you know what type of species that is too? I could just add that in here really quickly, and then it would be correct. Um, I don't know what it is. It's like a flying something. I remember that, but I don't remember like if he actually ever said what species it was. It's been way too long since I've watched that series. Uh, but okay, a flying dog might be it. Like it seemed happy and like friendly and and is like best friend. Sky bison. Okay, so let's do that. So let's do cargo run bin create species. Sky bison with an I. Okay, we do that, and now we can do create pet. We'll do appa and 46 sky bison. There we go. We now have appa, the sky bison, in the database. Perfect. Uh, so we now know that this works. So we come over here. We can just put this entire thing in here. Okay, so Rust, what is it called? Rust FMT. So Rust format, change, okay, so Rust format removes the block and when we add in the create pet call, but since but this is expected as we only have a single, I guess a single command inside the closure. If we had multiple, okay, so if we had multiple commands, then the closure, the brackets would remain. And okay, so that's sort of like heads up with that. There we go. Let's switch our create pen bin command to use this new function. Okay, so create pet. Now the only thing I had to update was down here, but I kind of want, part of me wants to just grab everything. That way, in case you don't have it, it's all different. So transaction create pet. Now we have you, and when we run this, nothing nothing changes. It all works as expected. The only difference is behind the scenes. As the create pet command is running in a manual transaction. Okay, now we can have this. I want to come over here, and we'll see. I'm just going to show them creating. Wait, why is it create pet? What did I do wrong? I created a species. The species is in there. That seems not great. Did I not do this correct? Hold on. Create pet. Papa. What do you say? Hey, I thought I saw the sky bison before. Okay, whatever. We created it again. Sky bison, there we go. All right, so create pet. Everything looks correct here. What is the name of the pet you want to create? Appa. What is the species ID you want to create it from? Sky bison, so we put that in there. Pet Appa has been created with an ID of 20 Appa. Okay, perfect. Excellent. That's good. So, and there we have it. No challenge for this lesson. Just keep this in mind for when you have a lot of commands you want to send to the database and you want them to be in a single transaction. That's it. Okay, let's read this. Diesel transactions, objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe what transactions are, create a transaction in Diesel. Every time we run a Diesel command like inserting a pet into the database, we are technically running a transaction. However, the transaction is only for that one command. A transaction is a collection of commands to the database which will either all complete successfully or be rolled back on failure. This means that if any of the commands in a single transaction fails, then the database would be unaffected. This can be very good if we have a lot of commands that we need to run, but we want to make sure that they are all run successfully in case of a failure. I didn't read that out exactly as I said. They are all that they all run successfully. I think that is actually correct. A side effect of transactions is that the commands inside a single transaction are a bit faster, as the database doesn't need to commit changes to disk as often. While we don't have a great real-life example of using transactions in our pet store code, we can still manually create one so you can see how they can be used. Let's add a function in pet queries RS for creating a pet in a transaction. Okay, transaction pet, create pet. Oh, and we need to update this to be that's round, and it was a string. As we can see, the signature for this query is exactly the same as the regular create pet function. We don't need anything else to run the transaction. In fact, we don't even need to start the transaction here in the queries file if we don't want. But in this case, we are to keep all the queries together. Oh, in this case, we are creating it here to keep all the queries together. I think that helps. To create a transaction, we are going to use the transaction function available on the connection. This takes a closure function which will return whatever the closure returns. So db transaction, to do, context. The closure that we pass into the transaction method takes in a connection, which is the same connection that is the db in our function. We use this when running queries inside the transaction. Okay, so there we go with that. Rest format removes the brackets when we add in the create pet call, but this is expected as we only have a single command inside the closure. If we had multiple commands, then the brackets would remain. Let's switch our create pet bin command to use this new function. And when we run this, nothing changes. It all works as expected. The only difference is behind the scenes, as the create pet command is running in a manual transaction. There we have it. No challenge for this lesson. Just keep this in mind for when you have a lot of commands you want to send to the database and you want them to be in a single transaction. Okay, perfect. So that is using transactions. So next up would be joins. So we're going to start with fun join things. And then after that, we're going to talk about async await diesel, which I think is a different crate. I think there's like an actual async await crate for, is it by the same people or is it a third party that sort of created a wrapper around it? Either way, not going to worry too much, and that's probably going to be just like a chatting one where you just read about it, like, hey, you could use it if you really want to. Otherwise, concurrency, we just use threads, right? Like just throw it into a thread, and we'll be good there. But with that all being said and done, it is 10:16. I don't really have time to get into joins. So because like we're gonna get like 10 minutes in and then we have to end the stream because I do have to end. I have a hard stop at 10:30, so less than 15 minutes from now, because my wife has a stand up, and this week at the very least, I am not streaming at the same time as her stand ups. I think next week I'm going to. Let's see. We covered it before, I believe, same person, but was on personal GitHub, not org. Oh, that's what it was. It was okay. So it's a different crate, same person, personal GitHub. So therefore, it's not. It's like it's as close to official as you can get without it being official. But so like it should be trustworthy, but it's not like part of like the big org for it. But okay, we'll deal with that next time. Let's see, no stream tomorrow. Thursday I have a planned stream to continue on. I'll probably try playing. I might go back to a different encoder, and I might try streaming out of the other room just to sort of see if that helps with everything. Because we had a couple of those drops in the middle, but like besides that, I've been like at a fairly steady bit rate of over 1,000, and the previous stream has been fairly consistent. So that's all good. We'll play around with that. Anyways, I'll be back on Thursday morning again, is sometime between like 7:30 a.m. Pacific time and like 9 a.m. Pacific time, somewhere in that like entire range, and then we'll stream until 10:30 Pacific time. So with that, hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.